Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of Multiplayer, the podcast by gamers for gamers. I am your host, Zach Matscandis, alongside whatever he's doing over there, the lover boy himself, Mr. Philly Fusion,
Yeah,
Javier Ortiz.
the 2-0 Philly Fusion, I must say, after the opening
snap.
weekend of the Overwatch League this year. They went 2-0 against the Seoul Dynasty and LA Valiant. It was pretty awesome.
Nice. So you've been watching that? You've been following it?
Yeah, I well, at least I follow the Fusion, at least, because, you know, I like Overwatch, and it's my hometown team, so yeah, I'm definitely following them. 2-0. It's pretty awesome.
Nice. So I'm assuming that's all like digital events at this point.
Yeah, they're still remote right now. Hopefully, hopefully next season they can do in person again. Because I remember a couple years ago, like a lot of the teams like invested in like esports stadiums in their own cities. So it really sucks that they can't really use them right now. But hopefully soon.
Yeah, hopefully soon. And obviously, we were kind of talking about this a few weeks ago, but. There are some layoffs over at Activision Blizzard, specifically in the esports department, but I'm sure they're just like, kind of moving things around and figuring out like the best way to sort of do that moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, they still have a pretty good broadcast team. The casters I think they're all still there, if I'm not mistaken. There might be a couple that have gone, but for the most part, they're all still there. It seems to be running pretty smoothly, outside of them being on YouTube, but I mean that's another conversation. So
yeah. And speaking of YouTube, remember that Multiplayer is all over the place, in your ears and in your face. We are at youtube.com/multiplayer. We're also on podcast services everywhere. So if you're like, oh boy, I love listening to these guys, but I definitely do not like seeing them. These guys are fugly. You can find a podcast service of your choice, whatever it is. We're on all of them.
Yeah,
I think. Hopefully,
it's funny. Those are how the girls reacted to me in high school and grade school. It's like, man, your voice is nice, but your face is just go away. I don't like to look at you.
Your face is just go away. I like it. That's a great new insult.
Yep.
Let's bring that in. We're gonna make the Multiplayer's very first T-shirt. And it's gonna say that. And of course, you can find us over at patreon.com/multiplayer, where if you enjoy what we do, go ahead and check out that little area where you can throw us like $1 or $2 a month, and it sort of just helps out the show, helps keep the lights on over here. And of course, you can find us over at Go Multiplayer on Instagram. And I tell you every week, remind me, these episodes go live every Wednesday.
Yep, they do. By the way, these episodes go live every Wednesday. So.
Oh, thank you.
No problem. That's what I'm here for.
I always forget every week. I'm like, oh yeah, I should say that at the top of the show. These episodes go live every Wednesday on YouTube and podcast services. And you don't have to look at our ugly mugs.
That's right. You can be like my 8th grade sweetheart, where she didn't like me or want to look at my face. So she wasn't really a sweetheart at all.
Yeah, no, she sounds awful. And sucks for her, because you're just crushing it now in life. You got a podcast. You're talking about video games.
I got a Fusion hat. I mean, life is good.
Yeah, 2-0, baby, 2-0.
Pretty much. Where are you at right now? Is all I have to say to her. Kathleen.
2-0, Kathleen. 2-0. Just send her a message out of nowhere. Just say 2-0.
2-0. You can't hurt me anymore.
Oh boy, we have a great show today.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I don't know if you've heard. It's just through the grapevine. Maybe you've heard. It's a good show. We're gonna talk about. It's by the way, we're filming like way later than we typically do, like in the evening. So I'm loopier than I typically am. It's gonna be all sillies today on the show. But we're going to be talking about the Indie World Showcase that Nintendo just had, and some fun and exciting news out of there with some pretty interesting games. So I want to talk about that a little bit. The RE Village demo just popped the other day, and I've got some thoughts. Save it, Hob. I know you got some thoughts too, so we're gonna get to that. Stay tuned for thoughts on the RE demo, and of course, I I was thinking about like indie games in general, with Nintendo's Indie World Showcase and the indie. Oh gosh, I can't even remember what Xbox called it. Their little indie
yeah,
showcase.
it was a weird title.
Yeah,
but their naming conventions for everything are really weird.
Just atrocious.
Yeah.
But so I want to talk about the history of indie games, because a lot of people think about indie games like in the now times, and just like everything that we talk about as far as history, it's way it's way older than you think it is. Indie games have been around basically since video games have been a thing. Like most of the ideas you think are new.
Simpsons did it
way
first.
Older than you think. Simpsons did it. And of course if we have the time, I want to get to You NintenDON'T Know Jack. So
yeah.
Let's.
By the way, Xbox's was the ID at Xbox.
Oh,
that weird.
I hate it.
Such a weird name.
The idea Xbox Showcase event. Oh boy. Just
a weird name.
I hate it. So so let's just jump right into the Indie World Showcase that Nintendo just had, and a lot of people might be like, "What the heck is that?" They have like Nindy Directs. Well, they didn't use that naming convention this time around, and I don't know why. Nintendo's typically they have their Nintendo Directs, and then they have Nindy Directs, which is for like their indie showcasings, but for some reason they just called it the Indie World Showcase, and I really don't know why, but sure, why not? Whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
live your life, Nintendo.
Maybe they're just changing the name for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say right off top of the bat, and I feel bad because I always hate just pooping on Xbox, but I do it's like Phil Spencer's like crushing it right now. I think Xbox is doing great things,
but
man, I've been itching to get a Series X as well, but man, I think this like Nintendo Indie World Direct, or no, excuse me, Indie World Showcase, also a bad title. Just call it an Indie Direct.
Yeah.
Man, I way prefer that format. It was
yeah, for sure.
I think it was like, that's off the top of my head, I think it was like 23 minutes or something, and showed off some great games, and like, man, Xbox just, Xbox team, just look at that. It's like, I don't need a 3-hour show. Things get lost.
3 hours. It was like 4.5 hours.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. It was like 4.
Yeah, it was really long.
It was just, oh boy, man, that was so long. And yeah, I just really, I really liked what Nintendo did here, where it's just like, here's 23 minutes. We're gonna talk to a few of the developers, and we're gonna show off the games, and it was it. And it was like, it was perfect, and it really one of the things I've really been liking lately within kind of the entertainment industry as a whole, and that goes for like movies and everything. It's like this this push to how do I put that? Basically, just like more representation within
sure
entertainment.
Yeah,
and this this showed off like a good amount of that. Just people from different backgrounds, people of color. Like, hey, I have a game. I hope you enjoy it. Here it is, and there was actually one in particular that I thought was like really interesting, which was like I want to kind of talk about a bunch of different games here.
Mm-hmm.
We won't get through all of them. Go watch it yourself, you lazy bones. But one game in particular I thought was like really interesting was Aerial Knights Never Healed.
Dude.
Yeah,
I have that one too.
It looks super rad.
Yep.
It's and this dude that is the developer on it. He's just like, hey, this is like very Detroit heavy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if it's a very small team, it's him and whoever else from Detroit, right? They're based in Detroit. Yeah.
And it even has like hip hop artists from Detroit and stuff. It's like very Detroit heavy, and obviously it's like a dude of color. Like, hey man, I'm making this game because like it's nobody has given me a chance, and I gave myself a chance. Here's my game, and like it looks dope, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah. It's basically like this is where I'm from, and here's something kind of dedicated to me, my friends, and where I'm from. And you're right. It was actually at the top of my list. Aerial Knights Never Yield. It looks so cool. And the art style is really cool. The music's really cool. It's like very jazzy, hip hop and rap. It's really awesome.
yeah, yeah.
It's got like it feels like parkoury, like almost Mirror's Edge type, but it's it's a runner, side scrolling runner kind of game, and it just looks really beautiful. And it looks, I'll say, like, what really surprised me is it looks smooth. Like the way it runs, like the way that just the character moves, it looks like it's well made. Like it looks like it's well responsive. Like the way the character is moving when they're showing the demo, it just looks like a really good game.
Yeah, for sure. So like, it's really good to see Nintendo kind of highlight, some of these different like indie developers of color that just like basically just have a different kind of game and a different kind of just like basically their take on an indie game. And it's like here's like, me and my small game and like the cool things that I have to offer. And it's really nice to see that. And Xbox like had some of that too. And I feel like it was unfortunately sort of buried under 4 hours of nonsense. Yeah. But like just in general, like it's nice to see that within the industry.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I guess let's go down the list of games we're pretty excited about. I'll let you start here. We can kind of go back and forth on a few games that you're interested in.
I wrote down 10 that really stood out to me when I saw them. Aerial Knight was at the top of my list because I think it was one of the very first games they showed. But I really liked it. Can't say enough about it. Really beautiful looking game. Cool art style, cool music. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
The next one I have is Ollie Ollie World.
Yo,
you saw that one too?
Talk about that game.
Yeah.
So I'll let you start, and then I have something I want to add to this.
Okay. So it looks like a really interesting game. It's a side-scrolling skateboarding platformer, right? And it looks, again, when I say this is just me looking at it. Visually, it looks smooth. Like it just looks like it looks like I would. When I say, it's hard to explain, but like to me, when I say something looks smooth, it makes me think of like Mega Man X, where like that game, the way it runs, the way you hold that controller when you play, it's perfect. It responds perfect. It plays perfectly. Like there's never a moment where you're like, come on, I hit the button or I'm moving. Like it's super responsive, and that's how this game looks. It looks very well made. It looks fine tuned. Like they paid attention to detail, but
yeah.
I had another random thought when I watched this gameplay.
Oh,
and I swear, if you were thinking the same thing that I'm thinking,
I swear to God, I bet it's the same thing.
Okay.
And I promise, audience out there, listeners, watchers, whatever he's about to say, we did not talk about this before the show, but I bet it's the same damn thing, and I bet it has to do with a blue hedge.
Oh my God! Oh! You thought the same thing,
dude!
I saw that and I was like, they should make a Sonic game. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw that.
100%. Like, I swear we did not talk about this before the show. Like,
I need to take a screenshot of my notes. It says, almost looks like they should take a shot at a Sonic game. I have that written down on my notes.
So I was thinking about this, and watching this gameplay of Ollie Ollie World, and looking at how smooth it looks, looking at how fast it's moving.
That's the other thing. Yeah, you move fast.
Yeah, and there's like layers to it. It's like you can go like underground, you can go above ground. You're doing jumps, you're doing loop to loops, and it's like, these guys understand that you just want to go fast,
Yeah.
And you could screw that up for sure, but if you know what you're doing, you're like never gonna stop.
Yep.
And man, I wish these guys could take a crack at a new Sonic the Hedgehog game. I think they would crush it.
I'm gonna buy this game just to support them, and hopefully Sonic Team is like, hey, these guys or these people did a pretty good job. Let's give them a shot. Like this game, maybe they're thinking the same thing we're thinking. Like, man, what if they did Sonic? Imagine the skateboarder, but it's a blue hedgehog instead. Because he's still grinding on rails. He's still moving fast through this little world. So, yeah, I it's amazing how I thought the same thing, man. Yeah, I 100%. Like I saw it and I was like, man, they should make a Sonic game if they could do that. Like because it looks. You're right. You move fast. It's still a platformer. You're still going up or down. You have different directions you can go, but you're moving really fast, and you're moving. And when they showed points where you stop, it didn't look frustrating, or just by the eye test, and I put a lot of credence into the eye test, and that's very vague. But like when you watch something and you're just like, yeah, that looks right, that looks good, and it does. Just looking at it, it's like, man, you substitute that skateboarder with the blue hedgehog, I bet you'd have a pretty good Sonic game.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, and I'm not a developer, but it's one of those things where I know it's tricky for a developer to find that border, that borderline, like between frustrating and skill.
Yep.
And it seems like I know you've been playing through Bloodborne again.
I was just thinking that.
It's like it's one of those things where I feel like the FromSoft guys, they've sort of figured it out. They've mastered it, where it's like I've died 40 times to this guy, but it's always my fault.
Right.
And that's where like Sonic screws it up every time, where it's just like it's never like your fault. It's just like bad game design.
Yeah.
And it. It's
sure.
like, and that's why you're frustrated.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. It's just like it's annoying, versus like good game design where it's just like, all right, I screwed up. I fell over. I messed up.
Right.
I need to go again and try it again and master it. And it's kind of like those old like Tony Hawk games too. And it kind of goes back to this Ollie world where it's like, when you screw up in those like Tony Hawk games, it's like, it's your fault, dude. You're just bad at this game. Nothing's ever like popping out and just like punching you in the face. And you're like, screw you, Tony Hawk. And I think that's where like, somebody needs to figure out that secret sauce for Sonic. There was like a team that did like Sonic. What was it? Not Sonic Generations. Whatever the 2D game made by the indie
Sonic
team
Mania.
was. Sonic Mania. So it's like there was a team like an indie team that did that, and that's like awesome. But it's just like leaning into like those old Sonic games. But somebody needs to reinvent those games and make them good. Like, I'm sorry, like they're just
Sure.
They're just, they are what they are.
Yeah, like they were never great. They're fun, but they were never great. Like they are what they are, and that's totally fine if you like it. I understand nostalgia is very strong with people with Sonic, especially. But let's call it what it is. Even the OG games, which were the best, it's still, when you look at the rest, saying it is the best, it's still not great. Like, they're good, but they're not great.
Yeah, I absolutely love that we had the same thought about it.
Yeah, that's funny.
So I just curious, did you ever play the original Ollie? No. Yeah, that was a game that I missed too, but it has like a very dedicated audience. Like,
that's awesome.
This is like a skating game. Like, this is great.
Yeah.
But this one seems to be like, really just taking the original formula and just doubling down and making it, fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for this game as like the first true Sonic the Hedgehog game.
Honestly, dude, just pretend that skateboarder's a blue hedgehog, and man, it just looks like it would fit perfectly for Sonic. It really does. Yeah. It's crazy.
That's so good. I'm glad. I'm so glad we were on the same page with that. That's funny. Okay. So moving on. Let's see here. So there was a game I was interested in with the Xbox ID event called Last Stop, and I thought it was like really interesting and kind of funny with kind of that British charm. This new trailer sort of made it look a little more like serious, and I was like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of like a I don't want to call it a choose your own adventure game, but there's a lot of choice involved, and kind of like a story driven like narrative type game with almost like a Telltale kind of game, but it seems a little more polished than the janky messes that Telltale would come out with. But so it's that one's still looking a little decent. I'll also give a shout out to Route 96. That's looking pretty rad. That's like another game where it's like seems to be like kind of a choose your own adventure-y kind of world, and apparently procedurally generated, but there's like a ton of voice acting. So that one seemed like pretty interesting. I'm curious to see more of that in the future, but I wanted to give that one a shout out for sure.
Yeah, I'm still not sure whether or not I can't tell if I'm interested in it or not. Like I watched it, I'm just like, huh. Like I'm intrigued, but I don't know if it's grabbing me like you should play this. You know what I mean? Like I'm intrigued for sure. Absolutely. And I think that I think Route 46, that was a all French team, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Route 96.
Or Route 96.
Yeah, that was a French team.
Yeah. Because like you were saying, like different culture, like this indie showcase was really like multicultural, like really pretty heavy, and that was pretty cool.
100%.
Like you had teams
100%, and I'll just to throw this in here as well. Aztec Forgotten Gods.
Oh, I have that written down too.
Yeah, so I literally in my notes I put Doomfist mixed with Shadow of the Colossus.
I thought that too.
We're on the same wavelength tonight, but
it's funny. I have like that game. It really piqued my interest, and I wrote down, I hope this game is good. And the reason I wrote that is because when I looked at when they showed gameplay, I was like, gameplay doesn't look super impressive. It just like, again, this is me with a dumb eye test, but I'm just like, it just doesn't look super polished. However, I can forgive these types of things because, first off, I love the aesthetic. I love that it takes place with a Central American background. I think that's a super unexplored culture that's very rich, has lots of depth. It's really interesting. It has a crazy pantheon of gods. It's just a really cool culture, and if you're going to base a video game around one, I would say that's ripe for the picking because not a lot of people have done it.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that, and the reason I wrote I hope this game is good is because as I watched it, as I wasn't super impressed with the gameplay, I was super impressed with the look and the style. And I was like, man, I hope they do well because I want this game to set up a really good sequel. I want them to be able to do more with this because I think it looks really interesting. But to me, it feels almost, I don't want to say unpolished because that sounds like a negative connotation. Yeah. I just want like more of it. Like I want more of like, whoa, this world looks crazy. And it already looks really cool. It just, there was like a sense of hollowness. I don't know. And it is an indie game. So, it doesn't have the AAA background, but I want this team, I want it to do well because I want this team to do more of it, Yeah,
100%. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's like this is an early look, so they still have some time to polish things up, and they're a small team, so we'll see. I hope it does well and finds success.
Yeah, me too.
Like we don't get a lot of we don't get a lot of games out of Mexico and
sure,
just South America in general. So it'd be nice to kind of just see more games coming out of there, and it's kind of like what you were saying. It's just like unexplored territory. It's like a lot of it's right for the picking. There's so many like fascinating cultures and lores within that part of the world that it's like I'd love to see more of it.
I mean, when it comes to like the Central American, like the Mayan and Aztec and Incan civilizations, like I think we've run a course through Viking, Japanese has always been super popular with like the ninja and samurai and the yokai and
Oh yeah.
stuff. Even American, but I really think, yeah, Central America, South America, man, that's really interesting worlds that I don't think we've explored too much of. I think Uncharted has kind of touched on it a little, but
Yeah,
nothing,
for sure.
nothing like beat you over the head like this is our culture and this is the way it looks and look how cool it is, like I want that though, because it looks really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, 100%. So, definitely give me some more games within that realm. There's some
Yeah.
cool stuff in there.
Yeah, I had another. Speaking of like cool culture and like just cool aesthetic and style. Getsu Fumudan. I don't know if you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Man, that one looks really cool too.
Undying Moon.
Is that what that means?
It looks pretty rad. I mean, that's at least like the subtitle.
Okay,
So
maybe that's the translation. Man, it looks cool though. I like hack and slash. I personally like hack and slash combat. It's super fun. It makes you feel like you're doing more than what you are. Yeah, I like the art style. It was just really cool. Like I thought it looked really nice.
For sure. So a couple other things before we move on here. I wanted to give a shout out to the new TMNT trailer.
Yeah.
Looks frickin' amazing. Give me that Turtles game. Just inject it right into my veins.
My notes continues to look dope AF. So that's what I wrote for that one.
Man, I can't wait for a new Turtles game.
Yeah,
That's good.
It's gonna be fun.
It looks fantastic. Skull the Hero Slayer
I wrote
is
that
also
one.
looking pretty cool.
I wrote that. That's my favorite one.
Oh, really?
Yep, that's what I have my favorite, and I have a little explanation as to why. If you want to give me the time.
In my notes I put roguelite Kirby. That's what I wrote down.
Yeah, very much so. I wrote down a different reason entirely.
All right, lay it on me.
I wrote down, there's something so satisfying about a simple dash mechanic in video games. When a dash is done correctly, it's pardon the pun, it's a game changer. It really is, man. Games like Celeste, Towerfall, I always go back to it, but it's my favorite game of all time, Mega Man X. When you have a good dash function in a game, it just changes everything. And the way that demo showed, it was just dash. It was dash, attack, and it looked so good. And it looked, again, it just looked silky smooth, super responsive, and it just looked like the one reason why I love a really great dash mechanic is because that it can look kind of wild if you don't know exactly what you're doing. But when you have a mastery of it, it's like you cannot be stopped. And I love that idea of like, this is your board and you can literally go anywhere. I love that. Like this is our little made up world and you're playing this little character and you get to be in complete control, and I love that if you can master the movement. Oh, it just, man, I love it. I love a good dash. I love a good dash. That's all.
Yeah, that's how I felt about there's another indie game that came out a couple years ago now called Katana Zero.
Yeah.
I feel that way about, like, man, I like a good dash and a good like deflect, like a katana deflect of a bullet. Just it feels so good. Yeah. It's just like, with the sound effect and everything.
I mean, Towerfall, right? Like Towerfall, like dash and like deflect or catch mechanic, whatever you want to call it. It's just excellent.
Yeah. Literally a top 5 game of all time for me.
Wow, really?
So, like, I love Towerfall.
It's great.
Fantastic.
It is.
I mean, it's maybe top 10, but definitely in there.
I feel you.
There's so many good games out there, but man, I adore Towerfall. Give me a Towerfall 2 immediately.
Sure, yeah.
With online co-op, please. I'll talk about one more game, then we'll move on. I want to give a big shout out. This is like my number one. Plus, I started playing it. So The Longing is ridiculous.
I have that written down too. I really like the art style. Hand drawn, really nice.
Yeah, so I'm always a big fan of like a hand drawn art style. Cuphead, I adore. This game is, think of the exact opposite of Cuphead.
Super mellow, no anxiousness.
Yeah. So this game is. The reason I was immediately drawn to it and immediately purchased it was because I've never seen a game quite like this, and when I jumped into it, I still feel the same way. I started this game not really knowing what to expect other than what I saw in the trailer. And it's like, all right, there's probably a little bit of waiting and kind of slowly walking around. I get that. This game, like the theme of this game in every sense of the word is patience and waiting. So when you start this game, when you see the trailer, it's just like, oh yeah, you have to do this thing. You basically have to wait for 400 days. Okay, that's like the idea of this game. And I guess paint a picture for anybody that doesn't know. So yeah, you're playing this little guy called a Shade, and he's like the last of his kind, and he's underground in this cave, and he has to wait for his king to awaken again. His king has gone into a slumber for 400 days, and he says, wake me in 400 days. I'm going to go to sleep to recharge my powers, essentially. So that's when the game starts. And you're just like this little dude. It's like, well, I'm going to wait for 400 days now. All right, here I go. And so basically you just have to live for 400 days.
Yeah.
And there's, as far as I'm aware, are no bad guys to fight. And you're just kind of, there's no real objective other than wait 400 days. That's it. And when I heard 400 days, it's like, oh yeah, like
in
sped up
game,
time, yeah. No, it's a literal 400 days.
Yep.
A literal 400 days.
It's nuts
that you have to wait. And so this game is like it. I started. Once I started playing the game, I started reading some stuff online about it too. And apparently, this game's been out, I guess, for about a year on Steam, and it's finally come to Switch.
Yeah.
So there's some people out there that played it. I haven't spoiled it for myself, thank goodness. I'm gonna try and wait the 400 days.
That's tough, man. That's a commitment.
It's over a year. It's a real commitment, but it's kind of. One of the things I love, and I think this is what makes a good game, is the developer of a really good game doesn't treat their players like idiots and treats them with respect.
Yep.
Where it's like a two-way street where it's like, look, we'll give you the respect you deserve if you give us the respect we deserve. And it's like, this game deserves every bit of respect. And because it's so different than any other game out there that I've played. It's this hand-drawn, just weird, slowly paced game. I was going to bed last night, and I had my Switch Lite with me, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go walk. And I was showing Jerry this game at the same time, so I was like, I'm gonna go and walk through this cave a little bit. And this guy walks so freaking slow, and it's funny at the same time, by the way. You'll be walking up stairs, steps for 5 straight minutes, and he's like, boy, these are some great steps.
That's awesome.
Or there's a part towards the beginning where it's you're walking up some steps, and then you can go up more steps, or you can just go past the steps for a few feet and there's nothing there. So it's if you just walk over into this little corner, he's like, why did I walk over here?
That's awesome, man.
And so he just has so many quirky little things.
I love that kind of humor. I love that.
Yeah, it's very aware of itself.
Right.
And so there's a door I walked up to, a stone door, and it just starts to open, and it's just oh boy, this door hadn't been open in a long time. It's probably gonna take a couple hours. Literally,
it does.
Literal couple hours. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna stop right here for the night. So I stopped right there. I put it down, and even when the game's off, the timer's still going.
Okay.
So it's I opened it in the morning, and the door was open. And he's just like, all right, the door's open. I guess I could go check this out. And then I went in there and I walked around, and then there was a spider, and the spider's building a web, and he's like, I bet I could climb up that web in a few days. And it's I guess I gotta wait a few days. And so it's I'm gonna be playing this game for over a year because I want to see how it ends. But yeah, so it's a very weird game, but I love it. I'm really loving it. I love the music. I love the silly writing that really lets you know like what's up.
Right.
By the way, for anybody that plays this game, I want to just give you a heads up on one area because I was pretty confused. I just, and it's all about discovery. Like, you know, you can go online and you can find like what looks like one of those like murder murder spree like mappings where it's like you got like people drawing strings to things. There's like these like crazy drawings online of these like cave systems and stuff that kind of feels this way where it's like, I mean, this game is like vast, but your character's so slow and just
It's gonna take you a long time to explore it all. 400 days actually.
Yeah, for 400 days, and there's things that don't open up until like months later. Like there's like a pool of there's literally like a water drop into this like puddle, and it's like at the top of this puddle is like a ledge, and it's like, oh man, that water. I bet in a few months I could
reach the ledge.
I could reach the ledge. It's just like literal months. You're gonna make me wait literal months. This is crazy. But
I'm gonna make you wait 400 days.
It's crazy, but I will say there's this part where there's this thing called like the endless hall or something like that where time stands still, and I was just like walking for like 20 minutes. I was like, oof. And this little guy's like, yeah, I don't think this goes anywhere. And I was like, I looked it up. I was like, I need to see what's going on with this hall, this endless hall. And I looked it up, and this one dude was like, yeah, I walked down that hall for 50 hours, and I never found anything. And then you have to walk back another 50 hours.
Oh, my God. That's...
Like, so... Oh my God, it's so crazy. What video game does this?
They do. The longing does.
Yeah.
That's nuts. I guess it's a way for you to be like, time. Yeah, like this is real. I guess wow, they really doubled down on like, this is real time. Yeah, if you walk that far, guess what? You're going to have to walk that far back.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
But it's like, you know, part of you is like, you know, the explorer in you is like, I need to see what's at the end of it. Is there something at the end of this?
Sure.
And that's kind of what is driving me in this game, where it's just like, can I reach the surface level? Can I see the sun? Can I, like, what is in these caves? Is there anything, like, there's got to be some interesting stuff that I just haven't, like,
right.
And it's fascinating. It's super fascinating. It really just reminds me of just going in caves in general, or, like, just exploring a place you've never been and just, like, what's down here. And it's like, maybe it's a waste of time, maybe it's not. You know, it's like, you know, wandering through the woods with your friends when you're like a kid.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Well, you know, I mean, you grew up in the city. I don't know if you had any woods.
We had parks.
Yeah.
You know,
but it's just like, you know, just exploring in general and be like, what can I find? Like, maybe there's nothing, maybe there's something. I don't know. I'm loving the game. I've been just playing it on my Switch Lite, just handheld, which is, I think, a perfect fit for it.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
I can't wait.
I think they were.
I can't wait to see what happens.
I think they were German or Swedish.
German.
Yeah.
German. Yeah. And yeah, it's based off like German lore, and it's just like,
that's awesome.
What a beautiful game! Like the art style, the music. I mean, the writing. I've never played a video game like it, and I'm loving it. You know, it's so different than anything else. So, yeah, obviously I spent a lot of time kind of talking about it, but I can't praise that game enough. And it's like $12. It's like, you know, if you got $12 to like throw around, you know, give it a shot. You know, at the very least, it's like a silly thing to kind of sink a little bit of time into.
Yeah, if you put it,
I
bet if you start that game and then you forget about it in a year from now, there's gonna be some crazy stuff that you can see if you explore.
Yeah, 100%. Like I can't wait to play that game in a year.
Yeah.
As weird as that sounds, it's like, what other game is like that out there? It's, you know, so many games are like, you know, you complete it in 40 hours,
right?
And like you're kind of done with that game. But like, this is the first game where I'm like, I can't wait until a year from now.
Yeah,
it's so weird. I love it.
That's super cool, man.
So I want to move on to something I love a lot less.
The House of the Dead remake that they showed.
Oh, actually, you know, I will say like that.
That's awesome. I can't wait.
I'm a little excited about that.
Oh yeah, of course.
I used to love House of the Dead back in the day.
Same.
Oh man, I can't wait. But
Yeah.
yeah, kind of moving on from the Indie World Showcase, I want to move on to this Resident Evil demo. And I don't want to spend too much time on it.
The demo that only existed for what, 8 hours? God, hopefully everybody was home for that.
Oh man. So, for people out there that don't know what's up, yeah, Resident Evil 8 or slash Resident Evil Village, they released a demo. They're like, but it's an 8-hour demo, and barely advertise that.
Yep.
So this demo came out, which is they basically called it the Resident Evil Village demo, and it was one of those things where it's like, explore the village, which is kind of like the first part of the game. And, kind of gives you a lot of vibes of like Resident Evil 4 and like that demo.
Love that.
And the village. And, I got to say, like, so I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. I still haven't played 7, but it's just
fun
because, like, I bet it is. It's one of those things that's like, I just can't. I just haven't let myself do it yet. It's just like, I just want I want Resident Evil games to be third person.
I agree.
And I want, and like, I just don't feel like this is a Resident Evil game. It looks fun as its own type of game, but it doesn't feel like Resident Evil. And I just stayed away from it. And I still have, despite it being free on PS5. It's like, it just.
I understand. I understand completely. I felt the same way when I played through 7 for the first time, where I was like, man, this is great. Like it's entertaining. It's a good game. It just doesn't feel like a true Resident Evil game. And that's simply because it's not third person, right? We're so used to it by now. And it's just like, man, I understand it's a horror game, and I understand so many horror games are first person. I don't want Resident Evil to be, though. I really wish you could switch to third person. I really do. I miss that. I really do. But it's still, it's still good. Try to just think of it like this. When you play RE7, just think of it as Biohazard, not Resident Evil. Even though they're technically the same thing, just think of it as... I know, just take your American brain and just think of it as Biohazard and be like, I've never heard of this game before. And then with RE8, just be like, this game is called Village. Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, I just want it to be its own series, It's like, leave Resident Evil out of it. That's a totally different thing. But anyways, I started to get pretty excited about Resident Evil Village / Resident Evil 8, whatever you want to call it. Because it just feels faster than RE7, at least from what I've seen. Plus, it just gives me like RE4 vibes. And I was
That's
like,
never a bad thing.
I'm excited again. Like, let me give this a shot. And, it's probably just the demo. I bet the full game's fantastic, but like, man, I wasn't into the demo. I was pretty bummed in a couple different ways. So, just to get the physical demo out of the way, and then we can, yell about the problems with the release and everything. But so the demo, it basically sends you into the first part of the game, and you're talking to an old lady, and she's like, "Yeah, creepy things
blah,
are
blah,
happening,"
blah.
and then locks you into this place, and it's just like, you should have punched that old lady, but whatever.
Yeah.
So then you go into this village, and basically it's a 30-minute demo, and that's it. Like, you can't play it over again. You're done.
Really?
And, Resident Evil is one of those games where it's like, I love exploring every little nook and cranny. Yeah. I like finding, like, journals and, random things to read. I like
items.
Just looking at all the items, just the creepy things that are around. I like, the first time I go through an RE game, I like just staring at all the weird stuff. And then the second time, I'll blow through it. I mean,
right.
RE4, I've probably played through that game like 10 times, and eventually I'm just speed running that game with like a knife and nothing else. And but like the first time through a game, especially that Resident Evil game, I just want to look at all the creepy stuff,
Yeah, take my time.
And because of that timer, you feel super rushed to just move through and not look at that stuff, or you look at that stuff like I did, and you feel like you got shortchanged on a demo because all of a sudden, like right in the middle of a cutscene, it's like, and you're out of time. It's just like, what?
That's so dumb.
It was just like, yeah, it's pretty dumb. So, the combination of like the weird time on it, plus like the guns didn't feel very good. I don't know how they felt in RE7, but in RE8, man, they feel so weak. I was like shooting some normal baddies, and I was like, this gun does not feel very good. It doesn't feel like it's doing anything. I feel like I'm shooting like an airsoft gun. Even the shotgun, I was like, yo, this feels so weak.
Yeah, I will say I think they're trying, well, at least for 7, I think they tried to lean into more of the horror aspect where it's like, yeah, you can shoot them, but it's more about running away than trying to kill stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I want to kill the bad guys.
Yeah.
So you give me a shotgun, I want to use it.
Yeah. But I feel, and I guess the super tall lady is supposed to be like a Mr. X type, where it's like she's unkillable and it's just gonna be chasing you around. It's like, I feel like it would feel way better if like you could take a shotgun and blow something away, but then you shoot this like lady that's almost 10 feet tall, dunking on fools, and it like does nothing. That's way scarier to me.
Yeah, that's funny because I was gonna say it's just like 7, where you run into the same bad guy multiple times, and he can't die, and you kill him multiple times. And he keeps coming back, and there are parts where he's chasing you, and like you got to try and sneak past him, or if he finds you, you just got to run and book it to like a safe area or something. And it's just kind of, I don't know. It's not RE4, that's for sure.
Yeah, let me just suplex a fool.
Yeah, I missed that, man. Like,
yo, I love the suplex.
I loved kicking, like the Chuck Norris roundhouse kick, like in the air.
Yeah.
I love that part, man. What I really miss was like, one of the simplest things I loved doing in 4 was just like taking my knife out and just like leaning forward and just slashing their knees. Yep. And then the fools will just drop. Like, I love that. That's it. And I guess that's what it is. And I'm basing this off of 7 because I didn't get to play the 8 demo because it was only up for a few hours and I wasn't home to do it.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
But like, I feel like even though RE4, it's still technically scary. Like, there's creepy moments. But it's fun.
Yeah, 100%.
It's fun. Like, it still feels like a game where you're just like, this is ridiculous. I just suplexed a guy. Like, and in a situation where you shouldn't be suplexing anybody. You should just be running. But like, it's a game and it's fun and it's a made up world where like, you know what? If you want to knife these guys in their knees, they're gonna fall and you can kick them in the face. And it's just like, I want that. Like, I want that back. Like I just miss the funness of it because like. It's like you said, like, on my first playthrough of RE4, I wasn't doing that. I was scared and I was trying to kill things and like be careful of everything. But like play through it again, I'm like just running around. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna shoot you in the knee and I'm gonna kick you in the face. I'm gonna suplex this guy. It's just it's not that though anymore. And it's a shame.
I think that's what makes a good horror game in my opinion. Some people might feel differently, but I feel like what might make a good horror game is like replayability in the way of facing your own fears. So it's like you go through like a Resident Evil game and the first time you play through it, you have dogs jumping through windows, you're freaked out. And then like once you get to that first playthrough and you play through it again, then it's just like, oh wow, the dialogue's super campy. I don't care about these dogs, or like, I'm gonna, or like RE4 is like, I'm gonna suplex these fools. Let me like, Tony Hawk style. Let me like stunt trick on these things. Let me like, and then you also like in the later Resident Evil games like 4, 5, 6. Not that 5 and 6 are very good, especially 6. very bad. But
Yeah.
like once you get into like the mercenary modes, it's
Yeah.
like it's one of those things like, let me just like, Tony Hawk pro skater stunt style, like let me just like rack up combos on these fools. I'm gonna
Exactly.
suplex this dude, like it starts to get real silly, but it's like it's almost like you're overcoming your fear
Right.
of the things that were made to be scary, and then you're like, yo, I was scared the first time, but now, like, man, you guys are a joke. I'm gonna suplex all you fools.
I agree, because it's like your first playthrough, you can totally be scared and you can respect it for what they were doing in terms of what scared you. But then when you know what's going to come and you watch it again, it's like watching a horror movie. Like, you can be scared the first time and then you just laugh at it the second time. It's like that second playthrough or that second time you get to that game, it's just like, that's your moment of levity. That's where you're like, this is kind of funny, actually, with what I can do and like what I'm actually capable of, that I was kind of too scared to do the first time. It should be fun, and I think that's what was kind of lacking. Whereas like when I played 7, when I beat it, I didn't want to return to it, and it wasn't that it was bad. It's not fun enough to want to play through it again. Where it's like, yeah, I enjoyed it, but it was so serious and like dour, and it's like, man, I just miss the fun of being able to kick people, knife people in the legs, at their ankles, and they fall. I miss that kind of stuff. It's like, give me that again.
Yeah. And, just to kind of top off this conversation, one of the things that like was frustrating, not just for me and definitely not for you, but like kind of just everyone is what was going on with the release schedule for this demo. It's just kind of wild. It's one of those things where, so basically it released the other day and it was just like, okay, you have 8 hours to play this game between like these very specific times.
Yeah.
I have the times up here. So in North America on April 17th, when this was a thing, basically you have between 5 p.m. and 1 a.m.
Yep.
And that was it. Then there's a cutoff. And then, in Europe, it was technically April 18th. So it's 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. Okay. And then it's like in Asia, it's technically April 18th. So it's 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. But then there's like, what's not in my, in my notes here, but I was reading it today. There's parts of the world, like Australia, for instance, it's completely like in the middle of the night. So it's like if you have just like work the next day,
it just doesn't make sense.
It's like you're just in sleeping hours. So, it wasn't across the board like everybody. It's 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. No, it's just like everybody got it at the same time. So it might just be in the middle of the night for you. Suck it.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's like,
what?
It's weird too, because like it was Friday night and I turned on my PlayStation and I saw like PS5 is like, they kind of show you like the news, like as soon as you turn it on, like there's the tile next to your game. And it said like, download the Resident Evil 8 demo. And I was like, oh, that's tonight? Oh, okay. Yeah. I downloaded it. I watched the little trailer. And I was like, cool. When do I start to play? And then it took me to like the main page and it said like, it had like a timer and it was a countdown. It said like 17 hours, whatever, however many minutes. And I was like, oh, so it's, I can't play it. I have to, why did you tell me I could download this? Cause I did, like, I'm just downloaded a trailer basically. And I was like, well, this is dumb. I can't do anything. Like, so like I technically downloaded it, but at the wrong time, Yeah. So it's just, and it's just like, why not just leave it up for the whole weekend?
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to kind of bring up, and I even have it right here. So back in the day when Resident Evil 4 was, the hot topic, not the store, just the general feeling of being the hot topic. So RE4 had a demo in stores that was freaking incredible. When you go and you play GameCube and like a GameStop or a Target or something, and you're like, that demo just blew my mind. Like, I mean, it was so good. It was just that first area, the village, and I mean, the first time you just come across like a chainsaw dude
Yeah.
is freaky. And it's just like, I loved that demo. And Capcom was so sure of themselves that they just had a hit on their hands, that village was so dope that they're like, yo, if you pre-order that game, we'll give you that demo. We'll give it to you, baby. And then I have it. So it's right here. This
Very nice.
Resident Evil 4
preview disc.
Yeah.
For
just for the audio listeners, I'm holding a GameCube preview disc in my hand, the case, not just the game itself. But so this just a demo, and then it has like trailers for a bunch of the other Resident Evil games that came to GameCube, 0, 1, 2, 3, and Code Veronica. But I mean, this demo it's just the village, and it's fantastic. I mean, and it's one of those things like, if you truly believe in your game, just give people that little chunk, just give them that little village chunk.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you could play that 1,000 times if you want. Because it's like, man, if you play that demo and you're excited about it, you'll probably play it a couple more times and try and beat it in a couple different ways and like, do a time run. Like, I mean, or at least that's how I used to be with like that RE4 demo. I mean, I probably played that thing like 100 times, and that just goes for demos in general. Like, I feel like I've been talking about Tony Hawk a lot this episode, but like the old like Tony Hawk demos.
That was a good demo, man.
Like,
it was a great demo.
Yeah, it's just the first level. It's that warehouse level,
Yep.
and it's just like, it's so good.
Yep.
And it's just like, if you truly believe in your game, just put that demo out in the world. And it's like, everybody knows it's a demo. It's not the final game. There's several things that are different in that RE4 demo than the actual game. Like, I don't know if you remember, but the knife used to just be mapped to a button to pull it out. But in this demo, this RE4 demo, you had to equip it within the menu.
To really?
pull it out.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Ah.
But it's like, it's cool. It's like, it's such like a cool little like thing now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just,
It's super
you could
different.
tell, yeah, and it's like, that was like something at the end of development. They were like, let's just map that to a button and make this quicker.
Makes
which
life
is like,
so
that's
much
so
easier.
That game would be so different if it wasn't just mapped to a button. So there's like little things like that. That's like,
That's awesome.
yeah, it's just like, man, I love video game history and just like development and stuff like that. And it's just, what a bummer that game, RE8's demo is just locked forever now. For all eternity, you'll never really... Well, I mean, I say that they'll release the demo again. Let's see here. There's a castle demo,
like
April
next
24th.
Oh.
And then you can play the village and the castle May 1st. But
yeah, that's what it was.
it's just like, it's just silly. It's like, just release it. It's like, damn, Capcom. It's like, what?
Yeah, I don't understand what the big deal is. Like, just
it's weird. It's weird.
Why not just do the typical type of demos where like you can go from point A to point B and that's it?
Yeah,
that's
it's weird.
Yeah.
And there's people like my brother that, he likes Resident Evil, but, he's, I would call him a gamer, but he's not like I don't quote unquote hardcore gamer like
Sure.
you and I might be. It's like, he's like casual in the way, like he plays a lot of video games, but he doesn't follow, like, he's not looking at IGN and GameSpot and stuff every day. It's just like, yeah, I downloaded this like Resident Evil demo and I couldn't play it and I don't really know why. And it's just like, that's how most people are. It's like, just Capcom, don't be confusing. Just put your freaking game out there and let people try it. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, I can attest for it. I downloaded and I was like, okay, this is a trailer.
Yeah.
I guess I can't play it now. So that's cool. That's very nice.
Silly. And you're like, you're in the know.
Yeah.
Like you follow stuff pretty closely.
I was one day off.
You didn't. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
I bet there were like 30 people that tried that demo.
Yeah, that time stuff it's so stupid. I just don't get it. I like, who are you helping? Is it some kind of strategy of like, we're building up anticipation? It's like, no, you're just building up frustration. That's what you're building up. Like, it's annoying.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're running out of time, so I'm going to move on. I'm going to skip the history for this week. I was enjoying our conversation, so I was just letting it slide. But one thing I do want to say, maybe I'll do it next week. I want to do the history of demos because there's some good history in there.
Yeah.
From old school PC games to like the like PS1 games coming in magazines. And
That's
stuff.
my strongest memories of demos are PS1 discs. That to me was like the introduction of like, oh my god, I bought a game and on the same disc is another game. Like not the full game, but it's a demo of another game. Like it was amazing to me. It blew my mind.
Yeah. So I really want to go into that history. So maybe we'll do it next week. I'll see what's in the news, see if something relates. If not, I'll do that history of demos.
I like
if
it.
Not, I'll save it for another time. But I love it. I love history. So before we go, we didn't do it last week, so let's get into it this week. I want to do a round of You NintenDON'T Know Jack.
Let's do it. I need to redeem myself because I think last time we played, I lost.
Oh, you lost real bad.
Yeah.
So for the people that are newbies to the show, so every week where we have time, I pull some flashcards from Mario Quiz Cards by Atlas. Came out in 1995. Some really silly, ridiculous quiz cards that half the time make zero sense, and I quiz Hob with these nonsense questions.
You're probably thinking, oh, Mario quiz cards. Nope, not like that. You're not. Nope, not video game knowledge. No, this is just general encyclopedia knowledge.
Yeah, just regular knowledge.
The weirdest collaboration, or at least one of the weirdest collaborations.
It's so weird. And the artwork's ridiculous. So check us out at youtube.com/multiplayer where you can see this ridiculous artwork. Oh boy. Hob,
yep.
Are you ready for some of this?
Let's go. Lay it on me.
All right. Time for your first question. And You NintenDON'T Know Jack. Hob, this is from the category Domestic Animals.
Okay.
Hob, what does a cow need in order to produce milk?
A baby.
A baby.
Duh.
So here's what you could here are the three options.
Okay.
So it must have a calf. Okay.
Yep.
It must eat special herbs.
Okay.
Or it must drink a bucket of water daily.
First off, the category was domesticated animals?
Domestic animals.
Oh, domestic animals. Okay. All right, fair enough. I was like, who?
If I said domesticated, that's my own.
Because I was like, are cows domesticated? I guess technically, I guess. I don't know. I'm going to go with A, though, a calf, because I'm pretty sure the way it makes milk is that it has a baby, and then it makes milk.
Yep, just like
people.
Just like people. So let's see if your people answer is correct. Here we go. And ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
A cow must have a calf in order to produce milk. Like all mammals, cows secrete milk to feed their young.
There you go.
So to produce milk, a cow must first give birth to a calf. And I like this. I've always been a fan of cows, and I think I would assume Gary Fields, but it doesn't say on the specific one. But I think this is like a pretty cute drawing here of like
Princess Peach with a cow.
It's just Princess Peach, just
that's
I don't
cute.
know, like rubbing the cow's nose,
just petting the cow,
booger or something. Also, just like this like funny little sun guy up top here. He's just like, yeah, what's this guy doing?
Yeah, it's just like a happy little sun.
Yeah.
Not like the Super Mario 3 sun at all, where it was all angry.
Jerk. And then on the back here is just like a picture of a bunch of cows. Looking like they're about to either give milk or give birth, or one or the other.
Well, either way, milk will happen.
Milk will happen. That's gonna be our next multiplayer shirt.
Nice.
Multiplayer. Milk
will happen.
All right. So you're one for one so far.
Yeah.
I'll do this one next. So, Hav, this comes from the category by air and by sea.
Okay.
So, Hav, how many instruments are there in the cockpit?
Oh.
Not a cockpit.
I was gonna say, what is that?
A cockpit of an airplane? How many instruments are there in the cockpit of an airplane?
I mean,
Is it a maximum of 12, 25, or up to 150?
what counts as an instrument? Like a button?
I don't,
Like
like
a
a button, some joysticks.
Buttons are
all that.
instruments because they have a ton of buttons. It's a plane. I was thinking like there's a fire extinguisher on the wall. That's an instrument. And like maybe there's a cord that you pull on for some reason. A microphone.
So I would basically, it's basically anything that's like on the panel.
Oh man,
that's like the panel of buttons, like all that nonsense.
Oh god, who would know this? I'm not a pilot. I don't think I've never stepped foot in a cockpit.
I mean, you played Super Mario Land, and he's a pilot, so you should know this.
I did. I have pilot wings on Super Nintendo.
There you go.
So, all right. I'm going to go with, what was option C? Because I know the last one was like over 100.
Up to 150.
Up to 150.
Yeah.
Jeez. And the first one's like 12?
Yeah.
That is
12. 25 or up to 150. This is like
wow.
Oh gosh, I'm just forgetting the names of shows now because I'm tired. The Price is Right. It's like Price is Right rules.
Yeah, really.
It's like I'm gonna guess $1, Bob.
Let's go with over 150. I'm making that guess because I'm pretty sure in a movie I've seen like there's a bunch of buttons, and I'm assuming buttons are instruments.
Big old bunch. Yeah. And you would be correct on that. There are up to 150 instruments in the cockpit of an airplane.
So buttons count as instruments then. That's just going forward. Yeah. Okay. Buttons are instruments then.
Yep. From time to time, the pilot runs his eyes over the panel of instruments. Fundamental ones such as a bunch of nonsense.
The buttons.
Altimeter, False Horizon.
I don't know what any of that means.
Yeah.
Altimeter. That sounds like something in Final Fantasy. The altimeter.
I'm charging up my altimeter. All right. So you're 2 for 2.
What was the picture? Was it anything funny?
Oh.
Was it Mario in a plane?
There we go. Yeah. Sorry about that. So we just have like Mario looking at a panel of instruments.
Nice.
And that little funny sun guy again.
The little sun guy.
There's 2 sun guys this week.
He's just being happy.
And then on the back here is just like a whole cockpit.
Yeah,
with a lot of instruments.
Yeah, buttons
up to 150.
Well, now you know, everybody. And knowing's half the battle.
Yep. Okay, last one. See if you can go 3 for 3.
Let's do it.
This comes from the category Arts, Sports, and Leisure.
Okay.
Of what kinds of weapons are used in the sport of fencing?
Come on now.
All right, here we go. So it can either be the saber, the dagger, and the sword. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, the saber, the foil, and the sword. Number 3, the saber, the foil, and the I hope I pronounced this right. The epi.
So it's not just a sword? So that's what I was thinking.
The saber, the dagger, and the sword. The saber, the foil, and the sword. Or the saber, the foil, and the epi. I hope that's right. I did not look it up before the show.
So these are just different types of swords. That's all these are. They're just all different types of swords. Because I was going to say, fencing, you use a sword. You fence with a sword.
A saber.
Saber. And an EpiPen. Is the EpiPen.
Or like epi?
A foil? What is that? That's the name of a sword? What? Okay.
Need me to read them one more time?
No. I'm gonna go with because the first 2 have saber and sword.
All 3 have saber.
All 3 have saber. The first 2 have saber and sword. The second one
Yep.
has foil, and the third one has epi.
Yep.
The first one's dagger. I'm gonna go. Let's go with epi. I don't know what that is, but let's go with that one.
Okay, so he's going with saber, foil, and epi.
Sure.
And ding, ding, ding.
Oh!
Yes, you are right. It is the saber, the foil, and the epi, which I hope I'm pronouncing right, are used in the sport of fencing. Fencing began as a ritual of dueling to the death. Now it's an Olympic combat sport, and the object is not to wound, but merely touch your opponent with a foil, saber, or epi.
Do it.
If I am pronouncing that right, somebody feel free to just yell at me. That's the first I don't know that word.
Yeah, I've never heard of an epi or EP or however you're supposed to pronounce it.
Yeah.
No idea. I thought the answer was either going to be sword or like a rapier or rapier or however it's pronounced, like that kind of sword. It's like a stick almost.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I always thought. Obviously I'm I'm not a fencing.
Yeah.
I
don't know anything about fencing.
Yeah, I don't know much about fencing, but like I thought the rapier was where it was at. I thought that's what was considered like the sword in fencing. So Mario taught me something new today.
There you go.
I was under. Yeah, it's news to me.
Successful collaboration. Then they taught us something.
Yeah, for sure. So, and I really like the picture here. It's Mario.
Oh, that's cool.
With, a sword of some type, an epi maybe.
I always thought it was called a rapier, but I guess not.
Yeah. Versus a hammer bro with a hammer. He is clearly not doing it right.
I like that.
But also, Mario needs to wear a mask.
And his hat.
To get his eye poked out. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Bunch of nonsense.
That's pretty cool.
Got a little cheap.
Yeah, a little cheap.
So 3 for 3 this week. You redeemed yourself.
Yes.
Very nice. So we're kind of running through time here. So let's wrap up the show. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this week. As we talked about Nintendo and a bunch of other nonsense, including EPs.
Epi.
Whatever's going on there. If you enjoy what you're listening to, please check us out at patreon.com/multiplayer, where you can throw us a buck or two a month to kind of help out with the show, keep the lights on, all that. Of course, you can find us, over at multiplayer.com/multiplayer as well, where I'm gonna take a couple pictures of this Resident Evil 4 preview disc and put them up. Apparently, that thing's worth some money, and I didn't know it.
Hey man, well, I mean,
eBay, here I come.
Let's be honest. A lot of the stuff in that room's worth quite a bit of money.
Yeah, that's very true. I can't say I've looked that one up very. In recent years. So that was an interesting one.
Yeah, put a picture of that.
Chainsaw controller.
Yeah, put a picture of that. The RE4 demo stand or the kiosk. That one's cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've got a couple like RE4 things. Maybe I'll do like a whole thing there over on the Instagram side. Hav, where can we find you on Instagram?
At loverboy_Hav.
Very nice. And I'm at ZachMatzGanis. That's ZACKMATZGANIS. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this week. I just gotta say before we go, I love doing this show.
It's a lot of fun.
For joining me, Hav.
It's a lot of fun. It's great when our minds sync up about Sonic.
Yo, that Sonic stuff. Yo, I'm so glad we're on the same page with that. Our brains are in sync.
For sure.
Oh man.
I think Sega should hire us or Sonic Team or somebody over there.
Somebody should hire us. Somebody hire us, please.
Please. I need a job.
And with that, we will see you all next week. Peace.
We love you. And you should love you too. And the Fusion are 2-0.
Oh, yeah, we love you. We love you. We love you. Peace. We here at Multiplayer would like to give a huge special thank you to Kevin Hopkins, William Euchre, and the rest of our amazing Patreon community. If you'd like to support our podcast and get a shout out at the end of each show, be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/multiplayer. See you next time, players. We love ya!